answering your tough financial questions for the past 26 years. It's Allworth's Money Matters with co-hosts Scott Hanson and Pat McClain. Would you like an opinion on a financial matter you're dealing with? Whether it's about retirement, investments, taxes, or 401ks, Scott Hanson and Pat McClain would like to help you by answering your call. To join Allworth's Money Matters, call now at 833-99-WORTH. That's 833-99-WORTH.
Welcome to Allworth's Money Matters. I'm Scott Hanson.
I'm Pat McClain.
Glad you are with us today as we're talking about financial matters, retirement and investments.
Money.
All that good stuff.
Tax law.
Both myself and my co-host here are both financial advisors, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant. Spend our weekdays with people like yourself and come here, broadcast on the weekend to be your financial advisors on the air. And if you'd like to join the program, we'd love taking your calls. It's actually one of our favorite parts of the program is
taking the calls.
Because you never quite know what you're going to get.
I like it.
Yeah. So our number to be part of the program, 833-99-WORTH. It's 833-99-WORTH. Get you on the phone. So let's start off in Sacramento with Lynn. Lynn, you're with Scott Hanson and Pat McClain, Allworth Money Matters.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Lynn.
How can we help?
Well, I had a question the other day. My son asked me about investing into an IRA, and this is a different kind of IRA. I have kind of a financial background, and I'm retired, and even retired from the CalPERS system. So I understand a lot about the retirement plans and options, but he posed one that I had not really considered, and he was getting ready to, or thinking he might want to open an account. And it was he makes, when you have the contribution limits for IRAs, but you also have the income limit, and so he's not able to contribute to a Roth or a traditional IRA. But this was a after-tax contribution into an IRA that he was talking about. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but you contribute to your IRA with your after-tax money, and I guess the earnings grow tax-free, but the contributions just sit idle. And then you have to figure it out when you do finally get to your age and use it.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I didn't understand what the advantage was.
Well, we'll walk you through that. So first of all, congratulations, Mom, for having a son that's over the limits, which means for the rest of the listeners, her son is making so much money, he can't deduct an IRA.
Yeah, and I was just talking about my one son who graduated from college, and he just got his first job offer. He's going to be last week I talked about, he's going to be on the camp crew for a travel company.
Which
opposite end of the spectrum.
Completely. And congratulations, Scott.
I mean, not even close. I
I
guarantee he can't make an IRA contribution because he won't have any income.
So,
I am very proud of him.
Oh, you should be. I mean, you should be.
And his wife.
Well, listen, especially, you want to raise kids that are happy and healthy.
Yeah, was he talking about then converting this to a Roth or leaving it in a non-deductible IRA?
Well, down the road maybe, but right now he's just thought it would be maybe advantageous for him to, he's also reading a book about wealth, and it might be advantageous for him to, start this vehicle and contribute up to his $6,000
So
limit.
I am not a fan at all.
It's a weird vehicle.
I'm not a fan of non-deductible IRAs.
But if he made a non-deductible IRA contribution like you and I do, Scott, and then convert it to a Roth IRA the very next day,
then
it makes perfect sense.
Which is a backdoor Roth.
Right? Because he's over the limit, so he can make this non-deductible.
But let's talk for a moment here about non-deductible IRAs. So a non-deductible IRA, you put the money in, it grows tax-deferred, then down the road, when you pull the money out, all your earnings, which your earnings are going to come out first, your earnings are taxed as ordinary income.
That's right. That's right. And
your earnings will be pro rata.
on the distribution.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And when you get to the part that you put in, the principal that was already taxed once, you don't have to pay taxes the second
Yeah,
time
that's
around,
true.
right?
But it sounds like an annuity. I mean,
But what?
a low cost
Kind of,
annuity
yeah.
would. Well, no, it's exactly a low cost.
But he should. That won't be a problem if he converts to a Roth IRA immediately.
So what he
Right.
can
and then
do.
you can convert it, but that wasn't his plan.
Well, then he's-
necessarily.
That's-
that's
so
well,
you-
listen, you called and asked.
His plan
Got
should
it.
be to convert that immediately to a Roth.
The very next day.
So that's what I do for
That's
my
your
own
backdoor
family.
into a
Yes.
Roth.
Yeah, I do it.
Okay.
I do it myself.
But then, since then, I've thought about it longer, and I found that he has a Roth 401k option, and he is already contributing to his 401k.
It doesn't matter.
I'm like, wouldn't you want to max your 401k or do your Roth 401k before you do this IRA option?
If I were in his situation at the income level you're discussing, I would probably be doing exactly what he's doing. I'd be maximizing my pre-tax 401k, and I'd be contributing. I'd only contribute to a non-deductible IRA if, in fact, I was going to convert that to a Roth. I would not convert it otherwise.
but
I would
you-
not contribute to a non-deductible IRA otherwise.
What about the Roth 401?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the Roth 401k.
Not in California.
Not in California.
Oh.
Is he in California?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the Roth.
Too high of income tax state.
Yeah, and he doesn't know where he's going to end up, right? He may move to Nevada, Washington
Yeah.
State, Florida.
How is that benefit different from the Roth 401 to the
Well, because he's paying
401
taxes
or to
before.
the IRA?
Well, he's paying taxes before they go in on that. So in the
Right.
Roth 401k, he's paying taxes. So I would do the
Couldn't that also be converted to a Roth? Only is it just not at the same time?
that's correct. I think I'm not quite sure
What is
what
the
you're
question?
asking me.
Yeah. What's the
Well, if
question?
he contributed to a Roth 401
That's it.
and
That's
then converted that to a
He could
to a
roll it. He
Roth
can roll
IRA
it to a
later.
Roth IRA, but it wouldn't be a conversion. It's
Yeah.
already been.
So
already a Roth.
if I was sitting down with your
Okay.
son, the first thing I would do is I'd walk through this process. I'd say, do you have any kids? Yes, I have a kid. Okay, you need some term life insurance. First thing, before I put a dime anywhere. Then I'd look to see whether he needed disability insurance. Then I'd make sure his home was properly insured. Then I'd put the maximum into the 401k on a pre-tax basis. Then I would make a non-deductible IRA contribution and convert it to a Roth. In that order. 100% in that order.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is to tell your son to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Go to allworthfinancial.com. Have him subscribe to the weekly newsletter, and we talk
Which I
about
do,
things
so.
like that. Well, get him to
Okay.
as well, and then send him over our podcast and have him listen to this, and he'll feel good
Oh,
about
cool.
himself
Yeah.
after we talked about how much money this kid makes.
Which is not the only measure of value of somebody, Pat, because we already said what it.
right,
I
right.
understand you want to.
And it's a team. He's married, and they're both over that limit, so they're very good.
That's
both
good.
of
That's
them.
good. And as long as they're
And
I agree with Scott. It's not the only measure of value, but
Yeah.
it is a measure of value.
It is a measure,
So
and,
appreciate the
and
call,
as
Lynn.
a parent, when your kids are not only self-supportive but doing just fine financially, and you don't have to worry about them for that part
Makes-
of things.
like,
There are a lot of
one
other
less
things you
things-
can worry about.
One less thing you need to worry about for the time being.
Not that worrying does any good anyway, but when you've got kids, you can't kind of
Yeah.
help it. I remember as a kid, my parents had split up, and so I kind of would go back and forth. Then I remember I'd go visit my mom, like when I was 16 or 17, I'd drive, and she says, well, call me. She was long distance. She said, call me when you get back and let it ring once and just hang up so I wouldn't have to pay the long term. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? I just need to make sure you get home safely, honey. I'm like, Mom,
What are you gonna do?
if I die in an accident, you'll hear about it. I mean, it's not going to take a few hours? I mean, what?
Would you do it? Would you call and hang up?
Yes, because she'd beg me to, and I thought she was so silly. Now that I'm a parent, I mean, it's different now because you can text me and whatever.
Yeah. Your kids text?
Do they text?
Yeah, that's all they do.
Your kids text?
You ever get a text from your kid when he's in the same house?
Of course.
They're in the room.
Not in
they
the
text-
same room.
Well, the same house.
That's how they communicate with me, is via text. I talk to them at the dinner table. I ask a question, and they text me back.
I actually
Not quite that
that's
bad.
right.
Didn't
Hey, can you,
All these memes and
my kid texted me at the dinner table. Can you pass the mashed potatoes?
memes. What's the other term?
Tweets?
No, tweet.
Are
Whatever.
you on Twitter?
I was for a while. I
Were
quit
you?
doing it. Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't say. I don't.
I was.
I don't have any. I hardly have any notifications on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I have text notifications. That's the only ones. And otherwise, when I want to read the news, I'll just go somewhere and read the news and
Yeah, they're.
call me old school. Yes, I am an old man. I get it.
So I'll share this story for you.
And then we will go back to the call.
I posted a video on Facebook last week about so in Sacramento we have this beautiful bike trail. It's 31 miles long. It runs along the American River. It is a dedicated bike trail. I think it is the true treasure of Sacramento. I love riding on it. Absolutely love riding. I like to go out and ride all 31 miles both ways, 60 miles for the day. No cars, crosses one street, beautiful. Well, there's a part of it now that the homeless population has become so large that it's you don't ride on it anymore. So I posted.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You just don't. I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't do it alone. And that's just my own feeling. So if you're like, oh, these guys, these elitist, you're welcome to your
elitist.
You're welcome to your opinion. But
what is the point here?
I posted this thing on Facebook.
This is a financial program.
Video.
Allworth Financial.
I posted a video of this thing, and I made a comment, said, this money that tax on mental health isn't being used. It should probably be used to help this homeless population, which I believe large part of it has to do with addiction and mental health. Holy smokes, what a firestorm I started on my own Facebook page with people just weighing back and forth, and people that I know they don't even know each other, but they're friends of mine, start fighting between themselves on Facebook, back and forth, back and forth. Like, wow.
I've never posted anything remotely political on Facebook.
It was my first. I'm going to do it.
Actually, I've been on Facebook 3 times in the last year.
Oh, you have?
I quit it.
Did you?
I don't find it interesting. And I have Instagram, but I follow 3 people.
How do you know?
My wife and my 2 kids. And my daughter posts all the time. If you look at my daughter, she's 24, you think she's got the most amazing life in the world. Amazing. It's incredible. She's nothing but happy.
On her Twitter feed?
Eats phenomenal food all the time. It was amazing life.
Scott, if you're not on Facebook, how do you know if people... How are you aware that people you barely know are sick if you're not on Facebook? How would you keep up with that?
I don't know.
How do you keep up with people you barely know?
I've decided. I think there's probably. It'll be interesting to see over the next 5 years, because and we're totally off topic here, but social media has. It's almost overtaken some lives.
It is absolutely wreaked havoc on conventional media.
But I'm just talking about like teens. I mean, you read these stories about like teen girls wake up at 2 a.m. You see how many new posts they had of likes on their phone, and their whole self-worth's tied up in it all, and all that stuff. It's just weird.
All right. Well, actually, this is a financial show, so let's actually take.
I do use Strava. It's a exercise app to keep track of my stuff, and it's got its own kind of little social media component.
Do you share it?
It's public, I guess. People. You can like. I guess you kind of like. You thumbs up, heart, something.
I have the Strava app, and I rarely use it because I don't want anyone to know what I'm doing.
You could make it all non-public.
Oh, I haven't gotten that far.
Anyway, let's go back to the financial stuff because we're losing listeners now. I get to watch them dropping.
3, 4, 5, 6. They're dropping like flies.
All right. 833-99 Worth is the number to be part of the program, and I'm here with my elitist business partner, Pat, who won't ride his bike in certain areas because he might have to witness people who are downtrodden in life.
Oh, I don't think it's that. I'm afraid.
Okay. Pat was the chair of the Sacramento Food Bank for many years.
15 years.
Served on the board for a long time.
23 million pounds a year of food that went out to all the food banks in Northern California. Yeah, when I started, we had about 500,000 pounds. We got 23 million pounds. I was proud of it, and I think we helped a lot of people. But this homeless situation, it's not just in Northern California.
You think?
It's awful.
All right.
Anyway, let's go to the calls.
We're talking with Gary with Scott Hansen, Pat McLean, Allworth Financial.
Hey, good morning, guys. Just 1 second. I'm tweeting you guys my questions.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Are we on? I'm going to ask people in the control booth. Are we do Twitter as a company?
Do we do Twitter?
As a
That's
company?
hilarious. Do we do Twitter? Yes.
As a company, we tweet. Do we tweet a lot? Oh,
Yeah, on the line. We're on the line too. Yeah.
Apparently, at Allworth Financial, we have a Twitter account and we tweet quite a bit, I guess.
All right, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your
I don't
question
tweet,
for
but
us?
I got two questions for you guys. First one is, I have had a pretty good sized bucket of RSUs from a company I just left within the last year. And when I was working there, I get so mature, peel off some cash, put it in, keep a small pile, kind of like a side bet, hoping for some capital gains. But I really enjoy the dividends that would peel off about every 3 months, and put it to projects or bank, whatever.
You're speaking extremely quickly, and so these are some RSUs, restricted stock units you've got. Is that what you stated?
Not anymore. Yes, that's what I had. I sold them off.
Okay.
But I really like the dividend every quarter. I use that for whatever.
You got a dividend
so
on your restricted stock.
Yes, it had vested. So I get some vested every year, and I had a pile of them.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it wasn't diversified, and I wasn't in that company, or I wasn't comfortable just keeping that one horse show in. I want to move into a high yield dividend ETF, something in Vanguard, whatever, just so I can get that quarterly spin off to do whatever I want with. Is there anything that I may be missing on that? I could use a REIT that spins stuff off a REIT ETF.
Why? Well, here's the challenge. Why are you just concerned about how much dividends the company's paying?
Yes.
Over total return?
Yeah. Why? What does it matter to you? How the income comes to you?
So this isn't my retirement. This is just money off to the side, and so I was just kind of keeping it as a separate bucket. I've got an emergency fund, but this is kind of like my emergency fund. I know I'm at risk with some volatility in the market, in the stock market, but long term, I'm not overly concerned about that.
But why?
Enjoy the dividends.
What do you do with the dividends?
So it could be just put it in cash in the bank. I could reinvest it if I want.
No, but you could do. I understand what you could do. What do you do with the dividends?
I spend it.
You do.
I spend it. It's usually on a project, or we go to Newport Beach or something of that nature.
So this is psychologically in your mind, which is where psychology actually takes place.
We hope.
You like this versus selling. Let's just say I had a stock or a basket of stocks or an ETF that generated 10% dividends, right? Mm-hmm. And I got $100 in these stocks, and every year it generates $10 in dividends. What happens if I had $100 in shares that didn't pay any dividend, and it went up by 10% every year, and I sold that? What do I care? That I sold I sold one of my shares because it went from 10 to 11. And in fact, I'd actually prefer that because capital gains rates for most people.
Well, qualified dividends is the same.
Okay. So that's not an argument then. That's off the table. So what do you, the point being is, what do you care whether the dividend is? You just worry about what the total return is.
Yeah, I get that, and you're right. It's probably more of a head game than anything. I feel more comfortable spending the spin-off dollars rather than cashing in shares, so my number of shares dwindles.
Well,
it may be a weak argument, but I just kind of that's where I'm at.
And how old are you?
I'm 53.
And exactly the same age as me. Are you working?
I am.
And are you saving for retirement?
Yeah, we have about 1.5 in between our retirements and another 250 in cash, and some of that's that money we're talking about.
Okay,
right
so
now.
how much? So you're talking, but this is just some piece of your portfolio, and it sounds like you're trying to maximize the current yield because you want to use this for a vacation fund. Is that right?
Yeah, something of that nature.
Okay,
yeah,
well, I don't have any real problem with it.
All I would worry about.
I don't have any problem with it.
All I would worry about is if I owned a stock that had too high of a yield, it would actually be bothersome to me that the yield is too high.
And it's not that high. It's 2-ish%. I mean, these are.
That's not high at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think you're fine. If that works for you,
then great.
For you, then do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Of
if it was
course, number
if it was a
two,
big, if it was all your savings you wanted to have in one particular segment, then that
And
would scare us.
And I don't know if I'd be pumping around or looking at REITs. You know, a REIT.
The challenge with some of these REITs, they'll pay out more than their earnings too.
Yeah. So I wouldn't.
Okay.
I think I'm comfortable with where you're at. I wouldn't be looking at a master limited partnership or any of that other garbage.
No. This would be all ETFs sitting in the Vanguard, something
Yep.
of that.
Yeah.
Yep. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, and over the time it
So
should
question
continue to grow, and the
Yeah,
dividends
that's
should
what I'm
continue to get
getting at,
bigger.
capital
Yeah,
gains.
10 years from
Yeah.
now, the stocks, the value should be worth more, and odds are it'll be worth more, and odds are the dividend yield, the dividend itself will be higher.
Yep, I agree. So that was kind of my thought. So I've got question number two that kind of intersects this particular thing. So I've been listening to some podcasts over the years, so I'm cheating on you. But there's some people that retire early. I'm not retiring early, but they have this yield shield concept where in the first 5 years that they retire, they want to protect against the what's that sequence of return risk.
Yeah.
And so they shift some of their dollars out of just regular index funds to funds or stock that have a higher yield to help protect in that first 3 to 6 years for a stock market drop.
Okay.
And what I'm wondering is, if you experience that drop anywhere in there, what advantages that yield shield early on if you see a big loss later on, and is that a practice that you guys work with your customers as they move into the first years of retirement? And just kind of curious. This is just a curiosity question.
Yeah. So we don't employ a strategy of using a different kind of stock, thinking that stock's necessarily going to have less risk, because if you look at history, perhaps some industrials that have a long history and maybe a higher dividend yield, maybe they won't fall as much, but just because they didn't in the past couple bear markets doesn't mean they won't in the future either. So rather than that, we look for more of a strategy of making sure that we don't have any money in stocks that's going to be needed in the first 5 years
To protect against that sequence event.
Return risk.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you,
correct,
You pull
correct.
money out to something else that you draw from. So if you have
Exactly,
to sell
that's right.
shares of whatever, it's not the stock, it's a bond or something. Of that
Whether you're a new retiree or you've been retiring 10 years.
It doesn't matter. So what you're just hearing there is just marketing garbage is what they're
Okay.
what you're hearing there is spin.
Okay.
all
Well, maybe not.
All right, well-
Maybe it's someone's strength. Well, I could. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
But Scott, I don't think anyone in their right mind would put 100% of their portfolio for the average retiree in the equity market and say 30% is in this dividend, high dividend to protect you against downside in the market.
No, that
Would be awful.
be crazy.
Yeah.
I would think it'd be
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, that's why I thought I'd shoot it past you guys. You guys are kind of a brownstone for what we need to do out here. So,
All right. Well, appreciate
All right.
the call.
The brownstone. I've never been called is that what it calls? Brownstone?
no groundstone.
Oh,
It's
thank
stone.
you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought like
Thank
a
you.
brownstone
Sorry, guys.
house or something, but
Yeah.
brownstone. I do kind of understand that a little more being on previously Native American property.
A groundstone.
Yeah, isn't that what it's talking about?
I don't know how he used the term grind, but there are grinding stones. Yes, there is along the
We don't employ one in the house currently.
along the American River, which I spoke of earlier about the bike trail. You can actually see the grinding rocks, where the Indians ground
Yes.
the acorns primarily.
And I've been to a number of third world countries during my life, and I've seen. Only women, frankly, but grinding the grain, grinding the coffee, grinding whatever, like they were doing thousands of years ago. And oftentimes, as the men sit on the corners drunk with their friends.
No.
I'm not exact.
Drunk.
I mean, poverty is a condition in the third world countries, no different than the poverty is a condition here.
Yes.
It's not just
degrees.
Yeah, it's
Like
and-
the poorest of the poor in the United States live
yeah,
a
but
much better
but
lifestyle
but the same kind of psychological trappings that, let's say, that a lot of poor remain poor. It's the same reason that third world countries are still that way,
and corruption.
and corruption. Maybe that's why they're.
That's right. Or they'd be corrupt, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, that's.
Have you been following the richest lady in Africa? She's the daughter of the.
That doesn't look so good.
there's been a couple fascinating pieces on her in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Multi-billionaire. But
Is that Angola? What country?
In Angola, yeah.
Yep.
She's daughter of the
prime minister, the president, or whatever.
She is still the daughter, but he's been thrown out of office, which is why
How? That's so strange. How is? But I'm sure it's her. She's just a great businesswoman.
She's worked at this thing for over 20 years, and that's why she's so successful, worth $2 billion. She said on tape, I've worked at this for over 20 years. That's hilarious. Because I know lots of people that have worked for over 20 years that aren't worth $2 billion.
You're kidding. Just several hundred million, maybe?
No, just 20 years. Anyway,
we're off. We're going to take a quick break because I think we have to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue on with some calls. And our number to join our program, 833-99-WORTH. It's 833-99-WORTH. Also, just to let you know, we have many people listening to this program doing podcast. If you are a podcast subscriber, please give us a review. We would appreciate that very much. And we'll be back.
And we can't ask for a positive review, but we like them.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Can't get enough of Allworth's Money Matters? Visit allworthfinancial.com/radio to listen to the Money Matters podcast.
Welcome back to Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen, Pat McClain with you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sticking with us. All right, let's talk with Michael in Sacramento. Michael, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Scott, Pat, thank you so much. Hey, I've got some money put away. I'm going to retire here shortly out of the military, and I'm not going to need this money that I put away into the thrift saving program, 401k style. It's really for my wife. She's quite a bit younger than I am. My question is that at 70 and a half, when they start forcing me to take that money, may I take that money, give it to my wife, and she puts it into like a Roth IRA or something because it's really for her?
Yes, but you don't have to wait till. By the way, it's 72 now with the change of the Secure Act. But if it makes sense to do it on the required minimum distributions, it may make sense to do it prior to the required minimum distributions.
Maybe, but then you got tax consequences.
It may make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it depends on what your income is, and it depends on what your income will be under the required minimum distribution. So if it's the same, Scott, if it's the same tax rate at the RMDs as it would be on the non-RMDs, why wouldn't you do it?
This is why I'm calling you guys, and luckily I've already made an appointment with one of your people to be able to come and talk to you guys.
Why would you? What are you stating, Pat? To take money out early?
To convert to a Roth?
No,
convert some to a Roth today.
I don't know why I'm taking it out early. I'm not. That's why I'm calling.
Yeah.
And not necessarily put in your wife's name.
You couldn't. So to answer your question, the technical question, you cannot take money from your retirement account and then put it in your wife's retirement account.
You can't. If
correct.
You pull
but if
it out,
I take the cash distribution and I give it for the cash to my wife, she can do whatever she wants with the cash.
Well, she can't. She cannot contribute it to a Roth IRA unless she has earned income.
you can't.
I'll have her retired too.
Yeah, got it. And you can't convert a required minimum distribution to a Roth, but you can convert.
But you can certainly earmark the dollars. So right now you're in a thrift savings plan, 457. It's got a beneficiary on it. You've got your wife listed as primary beneficiary. You're concerned something happens to you, money goes to her. Then you hit age 72, and you're like, dang, I got to take some money out. I really want this money to be for my wife. You can literally have it so it's money transferred from your retirement account to a non-retirement account. You could have it either set up in the name of your family trust, so it automatically goes to her, or you can have it set up on what's called a transfer at death account, so it automatically or the account could just be a joint account of which she's a joint owner. So you pass away, and the assets automatically go to her.
And a step up in basis. So there's lots and lots of different choices.
And you live in California, which is a community property state, so technically, how many years you been married?
Oh, for 18 years.
Okay.
What's mine is hers.
There we go. So community property state, she has rights to half that account anyway.
Well, it's really for her. We're going to leave here, but again, I made an appointment with your people, And it sounds to me like I definitely need to see them.
Well, yeah. So you threw out one scenario, and we gave you 4 or 5 different alternatives to that scenario based upon what you're trying to achieve. Right.
Yeah, and I don't want to do it on my own. We make mistakes. We're laymen.
Well, some people could do it on their own, but where
The danger is those that think they can
and can't.
Yes, there's a lot of those too.
Yeah, we see that. So
Yes.
we appreciate the call, and thank you for coming to see one of our advisors.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know what I think, Pat? This really kind of shows the importance of just trying to figure out what it is you want, the financial planning aspect behind it.
What you're trying to achieve.
What are you trying to achieve? What's the purpose here? And that's why everyone's situation is a little different. And the advice given to – so we've done a lot of work over the years with Pacific Bell back in the day. It's AT&T. We literally have several hundred retired clients from the phone company, all the way from senior level managers to operators and everywhere in between, right? Not saying that. I mean, just – lots of different types. And I would think of times when there would be a retirement offer and there'd be 10 people all leaving the same job. They started essentially the same time. And their financial situations could be so different that for one, you'd recommend one particular strategy. And for the one who's sitting in the office next to him or the cube next to him, you'd recommend a completely different strategy.
And they would come back and say, well, why'd you tell friend?
You told my friend this. Well, yeah, your friend is a different situation.
Yes.
Well, what do you mean different? We started the same way, the same job.
So, Scott, when you were telling that story, I remember a gentleman. This has got to be 25 plus years ago. I'm retiring from the phone company. He came and visited with me, and he said, Pat, I really don't think I need your help. I've got this. I know what I'm doing. I said, oh, okay. What are you doing with your money? He said, well, I put these tax-free bonds inside my IRA because that way I won't have to pay taxes on them. That's why I don't really need your help. And I thought, oh, my, he has no idea what he's doing. None. It doesn't matter what you invested in an IRA.
That's right. It's taxable when it comes out.
It's taxable. So he accepted a lower yield on a tax-free account to put it inside of a tax-deferred account, which actually provided him no benefit whatsoever. It was, and I tried to explain it to him, and he said, no, you don't. He never used my firm because he's our firm. He said, I don't need you. I've got this figured out. I'm like, buddy, you need us really, really badly, right? Really, really badly.
I think the challenge is oftentimes people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes, obviously, we are biased with our profession.
But some people, you will tell them they have a good enough grasp. Yeah. They get 98% of it right. And you're like, you're
They need one, education. So an interest.
Right.
You're not going to be highly educated without the interest there. So they need the education and the interest. But they also need the right kind of how do I present it?
Temperament?
Yes, the emotional temperament.
To manage themselves.
Yes. It's easy when the markets are going up. Yep. It's not so easy in choppy markets, and it's really hard in down markets. Yeah, it's really hard when it looks like the world's falling apart.
To stick to it.
To stick with the course. Yeah. All right, we're going to go back to calls here. 833-99-WORTH is the number here. We're talking with Natalie. Natalie, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hi, Scott, and hi, Pat.
Hi, Natalie.
How can we help?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I am going to be 60 in 2 months, and I'm looking to retire in 3 years. My retire pension will be $4,510 a month, and I have deferred comp as of this morning at $412,000, and the Roth IRA at over $55,000. Cash flow, it's $15,000.
Wait, what cash flow?
Step back on that cash flow. You have $15,000 a year in income right now, or a month in income right now?
No, that's just a reserve for emergency.
Got it. Okay.
And my current mortgage, including HOA, is about just under $1,200,
And what do you owe on the home?
$116,000.
Okay.
And I have 2 old cars that's paid for. They're reliable, but I might need to get one car
Eventually.
probably 2
Okay.
years
Are you married?
down the road. And no, I'm single.
Okay. What's your question for us?
My question is, I like to move, get a bigger house. Right now, I'm living in a condo, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 garage, and I would like to 2 bedroom, 2 baths, 2-car garage. All the pro is for getting a better space, a bigger space, and maybe move away the condo. For my evaluation, the cons are financially, I would take up more debt to get another house. Mm-hmm. And my question would be, I'm close to retirement in 3 years. It doesn't seem to make sense if I plan to retire, if I were to retire out of state and to buy a house now, to get another house now.
Are you planning on retiring out of state?
I don't know. I just thinking about it because of the California tax is getting higher and higher.
You're a state employee, I'm assuming?
I am government employee.
Yeah, government employee. Okay. And do you participate in Social Security? Will you get Social Security as well?
Not at all.
Okay.
I don't have enough.
And what's your current salary?
My current salary, do you want monthly?
Yeah,
I don't care, monthly or gross annual, either one.
Either one. We can do the math. Just the gross amount.
Annually is $80,790.
How much? 80,000.
$790.
And what's the value of the condo you're living in?
Annually.
And how much you putting into your deferred comp on an annual basis?
I have been maxed it out, but from this year to when I retire, I drop it down to $8,000 a year, so I can save up more emergency fund.
Okay. And what's the value of the condo today?
$250,000.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through something. If you were my sister, right? So your and my age difference is 3 years. If you were my sister, which is Scott and myself, and all of our advisors try to make it as personal as possible when they're talking with a client.
Thank you.
And the reason is because we want to act in your best interest and think like, what would I do if this was my family member? Do you have children?
I have one daughter who is grown and very independent, doing better than her mom.
Got it. I think that I would, if I was going to move out of state, I would wait. I would go spend time there. I would make sure that that is the place I wanted to be. If your grandchildren are there, if there are grandchildren, makes it all the easier. I would look at selling that condo and using a reverse mortgage to buy a new property at age 63 or 64. And I would, and I wouldn't have any mortgage at all.
What you've got going for you, Natalie, is $4,500 a month guaranteed pension, and
a distribution off that $457 if you started today between $15,000 and $20,000 a year.
Yeah. So I looked at let's assume you took $18,000 a year from your retirement accounts and your pension. That's roughly $72,000 a year.
You're not going to notice any change in your standard of living.
You've got you're earning $80,000. You're putting $8,000 in your deferred comp. You're at $72,000 a year.
And she's making some contribution. I assume you're making some contribution against your pension plan as well, possibly.
Paying into the pension.
Yes, I do have one on this. Can I add one more question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Does it make sense that I take out the cash in my reserve, the $15,000, put towards Roth, max it out my Roth every year?
Sure. Yes.
I don't like the fact that you reduced your It's a 6 1/2 dozen.
I wouldn't worry about the liquidity issues.
I wouldn't either.
And I would maximize my $457 contribution.
Yeah,
instead of Roth.
I would do that, especially if you're going to move out of state.
Totally.
So,
agreed.
in your situation, if I was sitting with you today, I would say, Natalie, don't do anything other than increase your 457, your deferred contribution as high as you possibly can. Can you stand living in that house for 3 more years? You say, yes, Pat, I can. Say that we're just going to continue the way we're going. You say, okay, I'm thinking about moving out of state. We go, where? I want you to go there at least 3 times. I want you to go in different seasons. I want you to become part of the community at least for a period of time to make sure that you really know you want to live there. Because if you get a reverse mortgage on the house, it's the last home you're going to live in. So you got to make really certain, and you don't have to start with a reverse mortgage. You could start with a regular mortgage. You can move to Idaho. You can move to wherever. You can start with a regular mortgage and go from there.
Yeah, and I think, I think you're in great shape. So when you, and what you got going for you is the pension. I appreciate the call. I think you're in good shape. Sometimes people they think about this cash reserves, the emergency reserves. But if you've got a pension of $4,500 a month and a really small mortgage,
actually,
and a bunch of money in your retirement accounts, including a Roth.
And you're over age 59 and a half. That is cash reserve. What's the point? That's where you were going to go with that.
That's
right?
what I was going to go with it.
I'm sorry.
So that kind of concept, if you need 6 months reserve or whatever the case is, may or may not be.
Depends.
That's right. All right. 833-99-WORTH is the number to be part of All Worth's Money Matters. And we're in Cincinnati, Ohio, talking with Kathy. Kathy, you're with Scott Hanson and Pat McClain, All Worth's Money Matters.
Hi. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good. Hey, I'm going to be in Cincinnati in a couple of weeks, actually. We're
great city.
Yeah. We have an office there, and I said let's bring in lunch, and they said we're going to have Skyline Chili. Is what they said they were going to bring in. So I guess that's popular in Cincinnati, the Skyline Chili.
Very popular.
Oh, it is.
I'm originally from Columbus, and when I moved to Cincinnati, you either like it or, what are you doing here?
I have never eaten the Skyline Chili, so I'm sure it's a big day for me.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
so
appreciate the call. What can we do for you?
Yes, I have a question. I'm going to be 66 in February. I retired from a public school district 10 years ago, and I am now working full-time for a private school, and I've been paying into Social Security. I have not started collecting Social Security because I was told, because I worked for a school district for 25 years, that I would not get much. They said I'd get like $268 or whatever when I turned 66. Mm-hmm. So since my goal is to work full time until I'm at least 70, but what I'm wondering is, I know I can get my Social Security this year, but am I better off waiting until I'm 70 or somewhere in between, or do I collect it now and get a small amount when isn't it increasing every year?
Well, yes. But so the answer to the question is yes, no, maybe.
Thanks for calling.
Right.
No.
So a large part of it is predicated on, I hate to say this, the day you die. If you knew the day you were going to die, we could actually tell you.
Let me back up a little further. So if your income from work stopped today, would that hurt you financially?
Yes.
Okay. So the benefit for you in deferring is the longer you wait, the larger that Social Security check is going to be.
The more of the income it will replace.
Right.
Earned income. So.
Okay.
Now, you do have the windfall elimination provision. Why they call it that, I don't know. But it's essentially when you've worked for it's typically a school district where, and it can also be some municipalities where you do not pay into Social Security. You pay into that pension system instead. When you get your Social Security, there's an offset. But now that you're back in the private sector contributing, you're still going to get credit for the time you are contributing.
Full credit.
And so every month you work is going to increase your Social Security benefit, and every month you delay receiving benefits is going to increase
So
Once you're past, because at your normal retirement age, you can receive 100% of your monthly insured amount or whatever they call it. And for every month that you defer, it goes up a little bit, about 8% a year.
Yeah, so at age 70, it's approximately 120% of what would be your normal retirement age. So if you're relying on your income to live, you're working, and you want to replace, assuming you have a normal life expectancy, you want to replace as much of that as possible with Social Security, you're better off deferring Social Security till age 70 and not a day longer.
Okay, but that's the maximum, right? Is at age 70?
That's the maximum it's going to accrue to.
Right.
If you wait.
But if you continue working beyond age 70 and contributing to Social Security, your check would go up.
That's
every
correct.
year.
But you would still be getting Social
until you hit
Security.
the maximum amount.
Yes.
Okay.
Does
so
that make sense?
how do I find out how much it would be? Do I have to make an appointment with?
No, you can go online and there's a calculator.
Yeah, but with the windfall
okay.
limit, it doesn't always show it correctly.
Oh, she might. Yeah. I was just
Right,
thinking
and
of
they
the 10
told me,
years.
somebody told me, like I said, 5 or 6 years ago, my husband and I went, and the guy said, maybe you'll get 268 when you're 66, but, that's all you're going to get.
Well,
because,
but
you've been contributing.
for
You've been
40
working.
quarters. So
Right, I've been at least contributing for, I've been working for the private schools probably for the last 5 years.
So you might want to
So
sit down with them, and you should actually sit down. You and your husband should sit down with a qualified advisor to actually map what your income looks like at age 70, and whether you need to save more or pay down debt, or, in fact, go to our website, allworthfinancial.com, and watch the 7 personal decision points video.
Oh, okay.
And it
Okay,
kind of walks
great.
you through the steps about how do you make up or replace income, right? And what Social Security is nothing other than just a replacement of income provided to you by the federal government, giving you back some of the money you gave them.
I was going to say yes.
But
Yeah.
you want to go
Well,
through you're asking about a specific issue of Social Security. I'm worried more about you in a global aspect, which is if you need this Social Security to replace part of your income, you need to actually understand where all of your money is and what it's doing for you in retirement.
Right. So it's called the 7
Personal decision points for
Personal
retirement
decision.
transition. So it's a program that we wrote that actually helps people go through this retirement transition, where we actually go out and project what your income will look like and where the sources of income the day you quit working for both you and your spouse.
Oh, okay, great.
Alrighty?
That'll work. He's retired.
He is.
And he's getting his Social Security, but I'm younger than him. So,
Okay.
So
I'm
wait a
still
minute.
working, so.
Part of his retirement plan is having you out there working every day.
That's right.
Smart man.
All right,
Very
Kathy.
smart man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
wish you well.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye. Okay. Let's just say. Huh? It's nice.
Yeah, she's a very nice lady. Seems, I've never met her, so I don't know.
It was all a big show. She's actually a terrible
She's like,
person.
she got off the phone and kicked her dog.
She's just a horrible human being, but she put it on nicely as she called.
There we go.
I hope she's a school teacher, so I'm hoping she's a pretty good
So
person.
my wife's been working. I have a niece that teaches second grade, first or second grade, and my wife goes and works in the classroom like once a week, and she loves it because the kids always say, "Mrs. McLean, you're so beautiful." She said they're so glad to see her.
What grade is this?
First or second?
Oh, yeah, that's the
She
best.
loves going to work there. Like, she comes home, she's in a good mood for like over an hour.
Until you come home. Where's my chicken pot pie?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's funny.
Expecting your wife to serve you something. I'm joking. Okay. Real quick. The Secure, what do they call it? The Secure Act,
Yeah.
which was
It's an
passed,
acronym for something.
thrown in. It was amazing, all the legislation that happened the last week of December. There's all this impeachment, pre-impeachment stuff, the Congress, and all that stuff. You didn't hear anything about it. And amazingly, in the midst of that,
Piled it
all the partisanship you see in the media, it looks like they all hate each other. Somehow they're all working together behind the scenes on a number of different bills, and one was the Secure Act that was
What does
signed.
secure stand for? Do you remember?
Oh, I forget. Yeah, I forget. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't. It's irrelevant.
All right.
Irrelevant. In any case, we've got an article at our website, Why You Need to Understand the Secure Act, that talks about the required minimum distributions being moved from age 70.5 to age 72, removing age restrictions for IRA contributions, because it used to be, believe it or not, if you were over age 70 working, you couldn't contribute to an IRA anymore.
Never made sense.
But it gets rid of this stretch IRA provision, which
is
you can list your kids, your grandkids, whoever's got a really young, who's young and has a long life expectancy, and you could stretch out the distributions for generations. But it just got me, it was a reminder, and you've heard us talk about in the past, the importance of having a diversified tax strategy in the same way you have a diversified investment strategy. I mean, if you can get to retirement and you got a good chunk in your employer-sponsored plan, your 401k, and traditional IRA, essentially they're all about the same, tax the same, some money in a Roth, some money in a saved, maybe you saved up some money in a brokerage account, maybe in there you've got, let's say, an S&P 500 index fund that you've owned for years that has some capital appreciation on it. Maybe you even have some rental home, or you've got some municipal bonds, just to have a broad, diversified portfolio when it comes to tax strategy, because none of us know what's going to happen in the future when it comes to tax law.
We know it's going to be different.
We also knew that we watched Congress throw in the elimination of the stretch IRA without, I didn't see any big riots or any big discussion, or
no one complained. You
don't see anyone no one's going to lose their, be kicked out of Congress as a result of that, because it affects a small percentage of the population.
People with money.
People with a lot of money, particularly. Those are the ones that really wanted to use it. The more money you have, the more you ought to consider having a diversified tax strategy, because
they're going to do more of it. There are going to be more changes on how IRAs work and Roth IRAs
particularly
work.
when they saw how easy this one was.
You were just mentioning earlier that there was talk about doing required minimum distributions on Roths, right?
Yes. I did mention that.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Well, there's some discussion on it.
Yeah.
So.
Changes.
Just think about, same way you'd want to diversify your investments, you'll also want to diversify your tax strategy. We're about out of time, and it's a sad part of this program because we do enjoy being with you. We're here every Saturday on the same station. If you listen to it via terrestrial radio, and of course our podcast listeners, we are grateful for you listening via podcast. And again, if you can be so kind as to give us a review, we would appreciate that. And if you think this is great, forward it on to some of your friends. Let them know that you think this is helpful. Anyway, we'll see you next week. This has been Allworth's Money Matters.
This program has been brought to you by Allworth Financial, a registered investment advisory firm. Any ideas presented during this program are not intended to provide specific financial advice. You should consult your own financial advisor, tax consultant, or estate planning attorney to conduct your own due diligence.